So if you live in Masvingo, I'm sure you've experienced the nightmare that is trying to get transport to go home, especially if you live in areas that are densely populated like Runyararo West, Rank, Siski Apiri, and Victoria Ranch. Now, I know this problem is not only isolated to Masvingo, it's most cities within Zimbabwe, but I'm going to talk about Masvingo because that's where I live. So in Masvingo, it's really difficult for you to get transport. Of course, there are designated areas that council has allocated for commuters to get public transport, and most of these will be omnibuses and not mushikashikas. But unfortunately, it's a demand versus supply type of situation. There is not enough combis to meet the amount of people who are trying to go to these areas. And secondly, and most importantly, the space that there is not big enough for everyone to be able to get transport there. Why? Because there's not enough combis and there's not enough space. So you find mushikashikas come in and they meet that demand. How they meet that demand ends up causing chaos, not only for the commuters who are trying to go home, but also for other pedestrians and other drivers, because it becomes difficult to drive within the streets that mushikashikas will be operating within. And as I said again, it's not only Masvingo, it's most places within Zimbabwe. But it got me thinking, isn't it time for us to start thinking of how to reuse the land that we already have? Because I am sure with the bigger space, we'll be able to meet the demand. And also, isn't it time for us to start rethinking how mushikashikas actually help with the demand for transport? Because our cities are only getting bigger. As for Masvingo, it's only getting bigger. There's Victoria Ranch, there's Rujeko D that's coming up. That means there's going to be more people. And with more people, there's going to be a higher demand for public transport. I know the government has implemented buses that are going to be coming through, but unfortunately, most of these streets in most of these suburbs were not built for the big buses we see moving around within these streets. It was never part of the original plan. So it makes it difficult for buses to move within these streets. Intercity, it makes sense. But within the city, and especially in suburbs, it doesn't make sense. It means smaller vehicles can meet the demand much better than the bigger vehicles. So isn't it time for us to rethink how to reuse the land and also to rethink how we deal with mushikashikas? I'd like to hear it from your perspective.